Okay. A few tricks, a few tips. Having your line straighten out properly in the water. It's obviously going to be accelerating your line properly, accelerating your rod tip to a stop. Hopefully it should roll out, don't drop your rod tip too early. Do any of the videos that you see on YouTube, there'll be a nice easy cast straight over the top, tight loops, accelerate to a stop and then drop. A few tips when it comes to wind. You want your wind as a right hand caster. You want the wind coming into your left shoulder, so it's going to blow that line away from you. Sometimes you're not going to be able to avoid the wind coming straight in to your right shoulder. In that case, keep rod tip low, try and stay under the wind. My casting technique probably does accelerate the rod tip, not necessarily a 10 and 2. I'm more back cast nice and high, stop relatively high, front cast, point straight down to the water. So not standing on your line is going to be beneficial. Still a nice easy cast, but I finish down nice and low. But you still do need that acceleration to a stop. If your casting ever is starting to go a little bit crazy, just stop and think of what's happening. To cast your fly, your line needs to be doing the right thing. For your line to be doing the right thing, your rod tip needs to be doing the right thing. For your rod tip to be doing the right thing, your arm needs to be doing the right thing. So nice, slow, easy movements. I know sometimes I'll probably look like I'm being really violent with it, especially saltwater fishing, battling tide, bridge pylons, tailor. So you want to be on the ball with the tailor. You can be fishing over here, and then all of a sudden you see a tailor busting up here. So it's going to be aggressive, trying to turn that shoulder. When you're changing your direction really quick, your line will tend to whip around, not look so good in the water. But generally what you're going to be looking for, nice and straight, nice easy movements, accelerating your rod tip, stop, let it fall. Just keep an eye on what your line's doing, what those tight loops are doing. If you keep those tight loops, you should generally be able to lie it out nice and straight. The longer the leader, the harder it is going to be to lay it out, especially if you're looking at those little cicada patterns, little braid patterns. They're going to slow down your line. They're not going to lay out quite so nicely. You can go as far as using tapered leaders, which you can buy. You can make them yourself. You usually just start off 20 pounds down so far, double uni to a 15 pound, double uni to 10, and then you can drop it down to a 6 or an 8 if you want to. But these seem to be laying out quite nicely. No wind is always quite nice. Skinny water situations, you'll be faced with trees behind you, which you can usually turn yourself around and cast back the other way. So find a gap, cast into a gap, and then lay it out in the water behind you. So cast into a gap. Obviously judge how much line you need. Lay it out in the water. Should lay out quite nicely. Just landed right on top of the snag there. The fish has come up and had a look at it. Just fishing right at the top of the Pine River, just down from North Pine Dam. actually closed season for bass, so if anybody asks, I'm fishing for yellowbelly. Whee! Fish going up a little cicada then. Yeah, just recap. If your line's bunching up in front of you, you're probably just not stopping enough. Sometimes if you're bunching your line up, your last loop might be too big and you don't have any line speed, and it's just going to pull, it's just going to drop and not look nice in the water. So just easy casts, especially your 6-weight. It's not a heavy rod, it's quite a nice line. It should lay out quite nicely if you can accelerate your line enough. It's pretty good practice to keep a hold of your line. I do tend to let mine go and try and keep my tip up, trying to free up that line to get as much out as possible as you're hauling. I do tend to last haul, let it go, let it all go out. If you keep an eye on that line and it doesn't look like it's going to lay out too nicely on the water, keep a hold of it, pull back, stop that line, and it should still keep accelerating that loop and lay out quite nicely on the water. So still try and work on your tight loops. You can over accelerate every other cast, but as long as your last one is nice and easy, it should lay out nice for you. Also, when you're looking at sinking flies, as you're pulling it up out of the water, usually a lot slower until your fly comes up. Like you were saying with the foam, you're obviously picking it up off the ground, there's not any resistance at all. It usually picks up a little bit nicer off the ground than in the water. Always point your rod tip at your lure when you're fishing, so you're not getting any sort of loose line or anything in the water. If you're battling any sort of tide, any sort of current, you've got a big belly in your line, just pick it up, straighten it out again. Also, when you start to get a little bit better with your casting, you can cast over the top of things into gaps or holes in lily pads. And as your line is out there, you can fish it all the way to the lily pad. You can lift, loop, cast it back out to your hole. Lift, loop, cast it back into your hole, which is always going to be a little bit harder with your kayak. But generally with your kayak you don't need the distance because you're already stealth enough as it is. You can get away with fishing within 30 feet of the kayak, which once you get used to it, you should be able to get 30 feet out alright. Yeah, called a stickfish. So, nice easy casts. Control your line, lay it out nicely on the water, control your line, pull it back if your loop is slowing down. It accelerates your loop to lay out the water. If you've got a wind coming straight into you, straight in behind you, I do generally lay out each one. Lay it out, a little bit more line, lay it out, lay it out. Eventually you'll be able to get the distance quite nicely. It'll be beneficial to tape up your finger as well so you don't get a line burn, especially when you start talking some bigger fish. You hook up, they take off, your finger is your drag. quite a few blisters. I think I've covered a lot. Hopefully what I've spoken about is going to help you. I might give it a few more casts here, see if I can get a hook up. Go and do some real work. Get into the weeds. Fish busting up just seemed to be just out of reach. See some sitting on that snag. happens when you lose your line speed. Don't get that tight loop. You don't get the tight loop, you don't get the distance. It's like that. I'm in the right spot now.